Presentation is on, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so very good evening to all. I am Vijayanand and extremely excited to warmly welcome all our participants and fellow Cyber Gurukul members. Yet another insightful and interesting session. We discussed this month is making first anniversary, and this event making this first, as we know, always extra special. We have indeed had 1 year of amazing journey with thought-provoking learnings and creative storytelling, and we will definitely continue to do same. I would like to thank constant guidance and support from the Cyber Gurukul core member, especially Sasank, Satish, Srinivasan. There are initial 30, so I would like to thank the Cyber Gurukul members. Harsh, special mention to you. Without you, this forum may not move or shape up as it is today. So, congratulations, Cyber Gurukul and Team Cyber Gurukul for this first year anniversary. Now, let me take the privilege to welcome our esteemed speaker and industry veteran, Sada Tikku. Sada, welcome to this forum. Sada has 15 years of experience in cybersecurity industry and currently is technical director for Trend Micro. After being frequent speaker at reputed forums like ISMG and ETCASO, sorry,
Please continue.
she has graced our Cyber Gurukul platform. We are honored to hear your insight on XDR. Before that, I will now hand over to Hers, our founding member of Cyber Gurukul, and moderate this session further. Hers, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vijaya, for that wonderful introduction. In fact, I need to have a special mention here that Vijaya has been equally instrumental in every aspect of Cyber Gurukul. And of course, it's the teamwork of me, Vijaya, and the core members, as well as all of you, through which we have now turned one, and we are continuing this wonderful journey. Vijaya also mentioned something very important. We really need to thank Sharda Tiku for joining us today. Now, we all know that she doesn't actually need an introduction. A thought leader like her, I must say that, from one side, managing the best of cybersecurity professionals across India, to another side, being that trusted advisor for so many important critical cybersecurity projects for her enterprise customer. Let me say that it's a strategic end-to-end consulting from the initial, kind of design phase to the implementation phase. She's been there all. And still she juggled and managed to give us time today, leverage her 15 plus years of experience. Sharda means a lot to us. It's actually truly an honor for us. And we are actually very keen.
Harsh. Thanks, Harsh. I think I'm equally honored to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharda. Of course, Shashank's reference also did a little of trick, but trust me, we will just be in few minutes do what we are here for and actually come here, listen to you and step by step deduce XDR. But of course, like every time, I am definitely not going to miss this beautiful opportunity to introduce Cyber Gurukul. And since Cyber Gurukul has recently turned one on 6th November, we actually did have our own celebration. In fact, we created a poem also which sums up our journey quite well. So let's have that magic now instead of me going into any other thing. So let me get into that at this point. Cyber Gurukul turning one is a beautiful and magical occasion because it's every cybersecurity professional's dream in action. Nostalgia, pride, ecstasy can define our expression. And so, can this day be complete without a memorable celebration? Our esteemed speakers are our cyber heroes. Sharda, this is for you. This also needs a special mention. Cyber Gurukul turning one is indeed a beautiful and magical occasion. Becoming cybersecurity storytellers and consultants drives our vision. Together, enable, engage, empower determines our ambitious mission. And giving back to the society definitely becomes a constant motivation. With PPT-centric, a knowledge-driven and business-mapped approach to InfoSec being the solution. Cyber Gurukul turning 1 is indeed a beautiful and magical occasion. 1 year of practical insights and amazing learnings paved our way for transformation. Securing crown jewels and DNS as entry point definitely needs more attention. Predictive security analytics, SASE, and ZPA are framework to cybersecurity modernization. Attaining cyber immunity then will be possible in this relation. Cyber Gurukul turning 1 is a beautiful and magical occasion. And stay tuned for many more joint wins in succession. Well, of course, it's joint win because there's a part of Cyber Gurukul in each one of us. Together, we are Cyber Gurukul, and we could not have achieved, from 30 to 300 plus professionals, this being our 10th session. And we are also planning, parallel sessions for the society, the college. These would not have been possible without the guidance, support, constant involvement of all of you who are here and who could not join us today. Srinivasan, I think you want to say something before we go ahead. I would love to hear that. I think you wanted to say something. No worries. Let us then continue. So definitely very excited, very privileged that, the way the Cyber Gurukul is growing. But of course, this is a teamwork. It's a joint win, and we will continue to do it. Just like this time, we will be very excited and privileged to leverage Sharda's insight into breaking the silos with the power of XDR. And let us then, just take another 3-4 minutes for the context setting that we do together and then hand over to Sharda. Yeah, let's then get the set, let's set the ball rolling now with certain facts and figures. And of course, it always starts with the why. Now we realize this, that today, truly geography has become history. Now, if I have to talk about digitization, enabler of digitization, that's the good news here. We have actually done very good job here. If I have to talk about cloud adoption from 2019 to 2022, it is 100x, which is growing at this point. Data landscape, 64 zettabytes, which is going to be 200 zettabytes in just 4 years. I mean, it's an unimaginable figure which I can count, right? So that's the kind of digital transformation that we are seeing, which is a good part. But what about securing this digitization? Honestly, that's an altered grim reality at this point, which definitely is being thought a lot on. Let us on the other side also consider the current cyber threat landscape. A whopping $6 trillion economy just after US and China. It's no more just a full-fledged business. 600% growth in the cyber attacks and the vectors as per United Nations. No wonder this is the biggest human-induced threat as per World Economic Forum. And you know what does this, if you drill down what it actually means on an everyday basis to an InfoSec professional? That's what this Frost and Sullivan report did with a survey for a lot of CIO and InfoSec professional across globe. Every day, an InfoSec professional is bombarded with at least 10,000 security alerts. They also have to struggle at least with 10 to 30% false positives across at least 15 to 20 tools, and this may change according to the organization, the size and the factors. They have to also manage at least 20 discrete data sources only in the SOC. And let's not forget the major burden even today of the work from home and digitization is on the endpoints. Thousands and lakhs of endpoints have to be managed by these InfoSec professionals. What does this actually mean to us then? These current pressing challenges, these InfoSec professionals are worried is just a kind of a subtle word. They're really concerned that securing is necessity But before that, how do we get that visibility across this massive, this ever evolving complex IT landscape? How do we get assured that we have taken those right investments, those right decisions in the cybersecurity as a strategy? Let's also not forget that there is a 3.5 million kind of a gap of professionals of cybersecurity which the industry requires now. How do we manage without the right set of skills? These are definitely few things which every one of us can relate to. While of course there is no one-stop solution, but we can still have some answers step by step. And that is where Sharda will be helping us today by leveraging her insights and exploring XDR. She will help us transform from a reactive to a proactive, from a product to a platform-centric, kind of a security strategy for organizations. So Sharda, we're just in few seconds coming up to you, and I'm literally very eager to learn from you today. But before that, let's also break the ice with XDR very quickly. Let us know from all over here, what do you think? What does XDR stand for and when was it created? You have 1 minute to actually answer this. I hope the poll is visible to all.
आंसर क्या है?
कोई पूछ रहा है आंसर क्या है? गूगल चेक कर लो, आपको जल्दी मिल जाएगा. मैं 15 सेकंड वेट
गूगल मारो ना. XDR का मतलब क्या है?
Not fastest finger first, so you can take time, but up to 1 minute.
नहीं, मेरे में आया अभी.
Quickly check the date.
मेरे हिसाब से तो extended detection and response रहेगा, but in कौन सा year वो नहीं पता.
हाँ, that is what. इसलिए तो ये रखा था extra.
सिर्फ XDR सर्च मारा रहेगा बराबर.
I think someone is not realizing they are not on mute.
Detection and response.
Year नहीं आ रहा बेंडी.
But that makes this more interesting, Sharda, right?
Extended ना पर. मैं 18 डालूँ ना. हाँ, नहीं.
Okay, it's already 1 minute. We are just giving another 15 seconds. Please quickly answer this. What do you think XDR stands for and which is the year it was coined? We have got A, B, C and 37% for B and 32% for C at this point, which is the major. Let's just give 10 more seconds. It's only 67% has participated. थोड़ा Google जल्दी check करिए, please.
Google always gives options, not the right options.
I just put, ये क्या, when was XDR coined? 3-4 आ गए उसमें. Which year?
True.
First, second will show you the right answer. Wikipedia.
So now we are ending the
We'll have to close it now.
Yeah.
It's already 2 minutes. So let us close this.
This is the result.
Yes. Now poll has ended. 67% participated. No worries. We can still, we have got 33 and 33% for B and C. So the good thing is, Sharda, we know the full form. It's extended detection and response. And for all of us to know, I also checked it on Google yesterday. So all of us are learning here. XDR, which is extended detection and response, was coined in 2018. So whoever have answered C are the winners, or who have got the right answer over here. So thank you so much for that wonderful participation, and I really loved the kind of end-to-end, quickly kya hai kind of a thing. But yes, now we have broken the ice with XDR. Let's take help of Sharda to actually deep dive and deduce XDR. Thank you so much, Sharda. Over to you.
I will quickly try to.
So answer, yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Cyber Gurukul, for this opportunity. Thank you for a very generous introduction. And yes, I think we will try to talk about today things around XDR and how it has been evolving. As Harsh, you have set a context quite appropriately that there has been an onslaught of malware attacks that has happened, and it has only made the job of a security operations center more tougher, right? There has, of course, been siloed visibility, sophisticated threats, skill set shortage, alert overload. I mean, all these are not new things. We've been hearing about it from a lot of years, right? So, but I think that's lack of context when you see an attack. How, of course, a lot of SOC providers are understaffed, and then with more and more products that we are putting on top of trying to secure the enterprise, it becomes even tougher. So the need, of course, is if this is a reality, and this, of course, like you mentioned, the business transformation has also happened quite rapidly in past few years. The cloud adoption has almost I think skyrocketed. The digitization initiatives across multiple sectors have increased manyfold. So keeping this as a background, so need for a comprehensive detection and response strategy has to be devised. So of course, all of these things make us push the envelope further for detecting faster and with a confident response. So that's where we're seeing enterprises are also taking this journey to redefine their detection and response strategy. The investments that they have already made, how can they capitalize from that investment, and how do they ensure that whatever thing is getting onboarded, right? So so how do we devise this effective detection and response strategy? Now we know we are talking about EDR here, but then I would just go back a little and talk about EPP. I think the good old EPP has been around a few years. I mean, it's been around so many years, and it has been doing a damn good job in terms of preventing us against the attacks, the malwares, and these compromises, right? A few years back, there was a time where organizations thought that while EPP is giving a good protection layer, I need to have a detective control at my endpoint, and and think that's because endpoint is where the entire drama unfolds. So that's where EDR came into the being, wherein while there is a preventive control provided by EPP, EDR gives a much needed detective control, which is to say that how has attack unfolded inside the endpoint, what all registry it has called, what all connections it has made, what are the kind of TTPs that this attack vector has used. So ADR, you all know, it's like a CCTV camera which is monitoring everything which is going at your endpoint, and then trying to give you some insights which will help you determine whether this threat is really bad, or how is this threat manifesting, so that you can do root cause analysis, you can do triaging, right? Now this is where the EDR is into the being, and I see most of the organizations already have deployed EDR, and those organizations who have deployed EDR, they like it, but beyond a certain point they start hitting a ceiling. They become impatient, because they say that, hey, while I come to know how this attack happened at the endpoint, but is there a part of the story that is missing? Which is to say that, is there a component of the attack which would probably be at the network level? Or if you're saying the attack has emanated from an email, what could be the other mailboxes where this attack has happened? I have my cloud instances also, and IoTs also. I have my other I would say other devices also where an agent cannot be installed. So are those devices part of the compromise? So the need was to go beyond endpoint, and that's where XDR came into the being, wherein the telemetry, so to say, is now getting collected not only from endpoints, but there are other points in the enterprise ecosystem, which can be email, it can be network, it can be servers, cloud, your web or network, anything, right? So that's where XDR came into being, so that the entire contextualization of the attack does not go missing. Of course, while we will talk about XDR in depth, one thing that I really want to mention is the XDR has become so pivotal in the scheme of things that we are seeing the latest frameworks, not the latest, but the frameworks that have been around for a while, but now have gained prominence due to whatever change in the way the business transformation has happened. Things like Zero Trust and SASE, these frameworks are also now getting very closely linked with XDR. I'll of course explain in my subsequent slide how that connection is getting built. So this is how we are seeing that when enterprises are kind of defining their detection and response journey, this is how they are typically getting evolved. Okay, of course. XDR, a lot of people say it's a noise. I would say, yes, it is a noise. There are different definitions of XDR. I would say, a part are like vendors are like us to be blamed, where, there are different types of XDR. Everyone has a story to sell. So there are different connotations given to, hey, this is how my XDR works, and this is what is my definition of XDR. So, but thankfully, we have industry bodies, and there has been a lot of research that has gone towards it. So we'll try to understand, what essentially is XDR and what are industry analysts talking about it, right? But before that, what is the need of XDR? I think initially you said a lot of times that we want to understand why. Now, when we talk about enterprise-wide threat prevention, detection, and response today, how is it happening? We have an SIEM solution. SIEM solution has been there for a long time. It is doing a good old job. It is aggregating logs from multiple sources. There are correlation rules that are running on top of it. It gives you very good dashboards that can help you, satisfy your compliance, whether it is GDPR, PCI, HIPAA, whatever. There are different dashboards available. It helps you do a log retention. So SIEM has done a good job, over all these years, right? And actually is a pivotal component when we talk about Security Operations Center. Another thing which is gaining prominence, and typically terms like next-gen SOC, these terms when they are being used. So what is next-gen SOC? When we talk about next-gen SOC, the term like, or a technology like SOAR is something that is really getting talked about. So SOAR as a technology has come into the mainstream, wherein it puts like another orchestration and automation layer on top of an SIEM. So if there are certain tasks that have to be automated, if there is an automated response and workflow that needs to be maintained, if there is an enrichment of an attack that has to be done, so SOAR solution really comes handy. And of course, it is, I would say, there are a lot of matured organizations who are still, I would say, struggling to figure out how to deploy the solution effectively, because writing playbooks and everything, it's not easy as it may seem. But yes, it is a need of an hour, and that's where we see that there are a lot of people who are now learning. A lot of cybersecurity experts learning Python, learning scripting languages, because all of that is needed when you really want to write playbooks. It's not only the logic. So this is something that is there. Now, here comes XDR. What is XDR? What is the value add that XDR is doing? One of the clear differentiators of XDR from SIEM and SIEM solution effectively is that while in your SIEM solution, there are a lot of logs that are getting pumped. In XDR, of course, logs can go, but XDR ingests a lot of raw telemetry. Okay, what I mean by that is, say, for example, you have your antivirus solution and it prevents and creates logs. All of these logs go to an SIEM solution. I have firewall. It blocks certain things and generates a log. That log also goes into an SIEM. What does an XDR do additionally? In addition to the logs that are already getting prevented being ingested into it, it also ingests the telemetry. Like I said, example of telemetry would be, for example, at the endpoint, if there is a file that is getting opened, it is getting closed, there are the process connections being made, there is a privilege escalation happening, there is credential dumping happening, there is lateral movement happening, which are like genuine things on the face of it. But this is not good or bad, but then someone needs to correlate these events to predict that these could translate into an attack. I mean, this could be an indication of an impending attack. So that is what XDR is trying to fill the gap. There are a lot of telemetry across multiple protection points inside the organization is getting pumped into the XDR. There are a lot of analytics models that are getting worked upon in this particular XDR, this telemetry, and subsequently there's a response generated, and then there is a threat intel correlation and all of that. So, if I have to be very honest, there are people are saying that XDR might replace SIM in few years, and again, to be very honest, there are a lot of overlapping features, okay, between these three technologies. What the future holds for us, I am not sure. I can't predict it, but I can surely say that this is going to be a gray area for some time, okay, because there are purpose-built XDR vendors, and when they are offering their solution, the customer says that, hey, but this bit is already taken care by SIM, but this bit is already taken care by SOAR. Can you also do this so that I can just do away with the SIM? So that is the stage currently we are, and I would say it is a, I don't know, transition stage or in between stage, but that's where currently we are. Is XDR needed? The answer is yes. Can it coexist with SIM and SOAR? The answer is yes, but I would say the harsh reality is that there are, and we will probably have to deal with a lot of overlapping features between these products for some years. Still, the industry itself matures to say that, hey, this is how we are going to coexist in the entire environment, right? Moving on, I'm quoting this from Forrester report that was recently released. I think they also, this was a very good report. I would encourage all of you to go through this. They further deciphered or broke down XDR into three parts, okay? And one is the native XDR. So when I say what is a native XDR is an XDR wherein the XDR solution has its own sensors which are deployed across an enterprise. So for example, if you have a native XDR, it will ingest telemetry and logs from the sensors which it has deployed across multiple points in the organization. And of course, it has an open API architecture which makes it good enough to integrate with a lot of other solutions. Then there is a hybrid XDR. Hybrid XDR is the one that relies on integration with third-party vendors, okay? Wherein, an XDR vendor can have an integration with an endpoint vendor, it will have an integration with a web proxy vendor, it will have an integration with a firewall vendor. And then while it may not be dependent on the native sensors, but it can still ingest data from third parties and then give you some correlation on top of it. Third type of XDR is a security analytics platform. Now, this is the kind of XDR which has been delivered by SIM and SOAR vendors, wherein, see, SIM and SOAR vendors also ingest some data. So they also run analytics on top of the data that they ingest, and they give certain capabilities, right? If we talk about these type of XDRs, so if I talk about a native XDR, what you see on the face of it that is like, okay, fine, these are the sensors. I integrate the sensors and then I pump data into my XDR data lake. So what you see is a refined search, right? So native XDR goes quite deep, if I would say, because it has its own sensors that are deployed. So the integration is very, very tight, right? So when we say that, hey, this is my high fidelity correlated alert, but then that alert is result of a lot of things that are happening in the backend, because the native XDR has a integration with a lot of elements, and the kind of telemetry that it gets, because it is a native integration, would definitely be different. The kind of response it will give will definitely be different. On the other hand, when we talk about open XDR, it is broad. What I mean to say is that it may be able to give you insight into a lot of other areas where native XDR is completely blind because it does not have a sensor deployed, right? And the open XDR, since it has third-party integration, that's how it works. That otherwise it will not be able to give you some intel. So it is broad because it can probably then give you insight into a lot of other points in your network. So just I thought this correlation would help you understand that native XDR is quite deep, because there's a deep-rooted integration with its native sensors, and OpenXDR gives you breadth, because it can give you, it can get correlate more points in, more, it can cover, the coverage can be quite broad for OpenXDR, right? While Frost and Sullivan, that report, sorry, not Frost and Sullivan, Forrester report, it covers a lot of points. Few points that I thought are worthy of highlighting is that things in native XDR completely stands out when it comes to simplicity, because we all know while integration is the way to go forward, but integration rely highly on API, and APIs are from different vendors. A particular product upgrade can break the API completely. If it is not in sync with, if you don't do a complete syncing with the vendor where you have already shared this API, right? So the simplicity is better in native XDR. Response capabilities are better, and of course, the inherent telemetry and everything. So these are certain things wherein the native XDR scores on top of a hybrid XDR solution. Moving on, if I have to talk about, I thought I'll just give you a little insight into how what has happened inside an XDR. I mean, we talk about XDR being a magic box. What happens? So on your left hand side, what you're seeing, the first circle is sensors. Whether it is a native XDR or it is a hybrid XDR, there are sensors. These sensors can be your email, your endpoint, your web, your network. These sensors are basically pumping data, telemetry, logs into a data lake. Okay. Now this data lake is actually powered by a big data. It can be SaaS based. Mostly, I have seen most efficient XDR implementations are SaaS based, because the kind of agility or the kind of DevOps culture that you can build while you're going on to the deploying the SaaS way, that cannot be done in on-premise. You will still be leveraging rudimentary methods of the patch, update, and deployment. So SaaS makes it much more agile, and the things like big data and everything, they work much better on the SaaS platform. So you have sensors. They pump telemetry into a data lake, an XDR data lake. XDR data lake has enriches this telemetry. It has a lot of AI, ML based filters or mathematical models against which this telemetry is run. So, and it gives you a meaningful information, right? It tells you that, hey, in your environment, for example, mapping with the MITRE TTPs, I can see these are the TTPs that are mostly getting run in environments. This is what you may want to check. Or it may connect a few telemetries across a server, an email, an endpoint. Although in isolation, these events can look benign, but when XDR kind of correlates it, it can tell a different story. It can tell you that it can be an attack. So from XDR data lake, it enriches that data, and then it correlates the data across multiple points and gives you that high fidelity actionable alert, right? So after the correlation, the high fidelity actionable alert is something that gets generated. And if if there are multiple correlated alerts, that can basically then get turned into an incident. Now, this is where XDR is doing a lot of value out of an SIEM. Now imagine in SIEM, there are logs that are getting pumped. Now, instead of these, a lot of noise getting pumped into an SIEM, if XDR does this precursor thing and generates one high fidelity alert, which then gets pumped to SIEM, a lot of things that we discussed about the alert fatigue or other things are actually taken care of by XDR, right? Talking about automation and integration next. This is, I would say, a very important point to consider when we are talking about XDR. And the integration can be two-faced, right? Either there could be multiple apps which are created on an XDR platform. There can be an app which can ingest data, which can fetch telemetry, an app which can share information with your third parties, out of the box connectors. Certain apps could be there. Or there are a lot of APIs which are already available. So all modern day solutions are, they have an open API architecture. There is a web service API which is already exposed, because I don't think in today's environment, any product can afford to live in silos and not have that open API architecture. So talking about automation and integration, especially in the context of XDR, this is the way typically we have seen the integration getting developed. And when we are talking about integration of XDR, the ecosystem is, I mean, the sky is the limit, right? Right from a ticketing platform, which is where if XDR generates a high fidelity alert, which has to then get correlated or get translated into an incident, and a ticket has to get generated, so XDR has to integrate with the ticketing platform. Of course, an SIEM platform, wherein if the high fidelity alert, this has to be sent to an SIEM for further correlation with other third-party logs. That is where SIEM comes into the picture. The SOAR integration with SOAR for creating the response actions or for ingesting and giving playbooks. That's where the SOAR integration is important. Integration with threat intel platform. This is something which is, again, a very, I would say, a heart of the integration when we talk about XDR. So I'll spend some time talking about the threat intel piece. What essentially we're trying to say, for example, there is an IOC and you would want to do a real-time check of this IOC against a threat intel database. That is something that an XDR platform gives you. Or there can be a more advanced level of threat intel integration wherein you could and there could be a lot of APT campaigns or a lot of cyber attack campaigns that are running in the wild, and the integration with the threat intel platform will enable XDR solution to proactively sweep for these known malwares or known campaigns, so that even if there is a trace of that campaign in your telemetry, which is there in the data lake, it gets a hit, and then you get to know that, hey, I can see a similar pattern in my network, which is probably being seen by Ryuk ransomware. Right. So that's how the threat intel integration basically is very important. Network security, of course, whatever IOCs are getting generated from XDR platform, if that has to be blocked at the firewall level, it has to integrate with network security messaging. An email has to be sent, an alert has to be sent over an email, or the email metadata has to be integrated on XDR platform. That's where the integration is being done. Identity access, last but not the least, of course, this is very important. Like you said, that XDR is becoming basically a base for a lot of frameworks like Zero Trust, wherein depending on whether the risk of a particular entity is good or bad, you would want to restrict the access to that particular identity. So for example, if XDR tells you that this particular user is bad, and I want to remove this user from or disable the user access, so XDR platform will need to have an integration with your directory services, right? So this is, and these are just a few critical ones that I have mentioned, but then depending on the customers' investments they have done, the use cases that they want to achieve, the integration can be quite broad. Talking about playbooks, I think we have a lot of you have heard about the term playbook, and what exactly is a playbook and what is the problem that it is trying to solve, and why is it important in the XDR frame of mind. So playbook basically it is a workflow that helps you determine that if there are certain conditions met in your environment, then certain actions should be taken. Okay, these actions should be time sensitive, and of course it should help you decrease the mean time to respond. So like we know, some of you who have who are working in SOC, there are a lot of repetitive tasks that happen in the SOC. Say you see that if there is a IOC which is a known bad, and then you would want any known bad IOC to be blocked across multiple platforms. Just a very simple example I'm doing. So there can be a playbook created for this task, and you don't have to repeatedly do this task for multiple things. Of course, the playbooks have to be refined over a period of time. It cannot be a static one. So a lot of vendors, give the playbook, out of the box playbooks, but then I would say that these playbooks have to be defined as per the customer environment, as per the customer use case, and that's where XDR basically helps you in creating these playbooks to some extent, or even determining those conditions which should be met, and then the playbook should get triggered. There are broadly two type of playbooks that I typically see are getting generated where XDR is the data source. First is an incident playbook, and it can be any other incident. It can be a ransomware, it can be APT campaign, it can be a privilege escalation, anything, any alert which is getting generated. Retrieve the alert. What retrieving the alert means that what are the components inside an alert? Is there a URL? Is there a host? Is there a server? Is there a file? Is there an email address? Retrieve the important components out of an alert. Enrich the alert. Enrichment would essentially mean that you either check it against a third-party database. You may want to sandbox it, a file. You may want to check it against any other third-party, like I said, database. So you enrich the components that you have retrieved so that you can do the response. You can take the response, whether to block the URL, whether to block the hash, isolate the system, and you close a particular incident, right? Similarly, the second type of playbook is essentially a threat intel playbook. Like I said, there could be any global attack campaign. I took an example of Ryuk, which is happening, and we recently saw it creating havoc. We know it is happening globally. I proactively sweep your environment, a customer's environment with this Ryuk IOC. I generate a score, I prioritize, I see that there is a match, and I block and then close and share that intel with rest of the components. So this is where the XDR, the alert that it generates, helps in basically giving a meaningful closure to an incident, because then whatever you are receiving at the first hand is a high fidelity actionable alert. This is just an example I took from an XDR alert. Typically, if you see before automation, you would essentially create a ticket. Like I said, check URLs and other OS, you analyze what is suspicious. If there is a endpoint which is involved, you may want to scan that endpoint, search for similar emails, block incoming mail. You may want to then do a lot of actions, which a typical time is start to finish can be 75 minutes. But then after automation, if there is a playbook that is created, that time is drastically reduced. And that's where solutions like XDR help in reducing mean time to detect and mean time to respond considerably. Right. So I'm shifting a gear a little bit. It might look that there is a sudden change, but I will try to connect. I will connect both of these. I will just spend 2 to 3 more minutes in explaining zero trust. I talked about zero trust in my initial slides, and there are different definitions of zero trust. I just put it in case Harsh decides to ask another questions that who had coined zero trust and what is the definition. You have an answer handy. So Forrester says that zero trust is a vulnerability, which means that you should never trust and always verify. Gartner says that zero trust should involve continuous assessment of risk. You don't trust anyone. You continuously check and have a multiple authentication points before giving an admission to a particular entity inside your network. Now, again, zero trust is a journey. It is a philosophy, so to say. It's not a product, right? It starts with a zero trust as mindset and not as a product. And the most important thing is that it helps you gain the risk visibility so that you can prioritize certain actions based on the risk score that you get. Okay, what I mean to say that what could be the entities that you could be wanting to admit in your environment. The entity can be user, it can be app, or it can be any other thing. It can be an email for application user, or it can be a device that you would want to get an entry into your organization, right? do you know the risk of all of these entities? Do you know what is the risk associated with each of these entities? So that's what Zero Trust helps you do, so that you can limit access intelligently, using these risk scores that you have. And then you are able to successfully implement Zero Trust network access. Now, why does it become important? Because when we talk about Zero Trust model, and there is a philosophy which says that Zero Trust model has to be dependent on risk insights. Like I said, there's a user, there is a device, there is an application, there is an associated risk there's a risk associated with each of these entities. If I know what is a risk associated with these entities, that risk can help me then determine whether I have to give access to this entity, or I have to block, or I have to ask maybe a further authentication. Maybe I have to do an MFA and isolate, or I sign out an entity completely. So that's where the Zero Trust model is getting talked about. And now XDR and Zero Trust work hand in hand, because the risk scoring that I just talked about is something that is getting fed into a Zero Trust framework by XDR. So XDR has insight into your, like I said, multiple points. It can tell you whether a particular user, whether the user is risky, whether if this user has accessed certain apps which have bad reputation, or it can tell you, hey, this user has accessed his email in 2 different geographies in last 1 hour, which could not be possible. This sounds suspicious. So all of these parameters, all of this risk insights is something that XDR is able to get you, because it has insight. It has a endpoint sensor, it has a sensor, the network, cloud, various points. And this risk score that XDR helps you generate can then help you take a more more confident and decision in terms of whether you would want to give access to a particular entity, or you would want to slow that down. And that's where it is very important, because that Zero Trust and XDR are looked together. So if there is if you are evaluating XDR and there is a Zero Trust project that is parallelly going on in your environment, you may want to put the two together, or you may want to develop a connect. I mean, it happened to me. We were talking to one of the one of the banks, and we were doing a XDR POC there. And we happened to have a conversation with the CIO, and we said, okay, what are your top priorities? And we just talked about that. Yeah, we're talking about Zero Trust. And he said, hey, I also have a Zero Trust project going on, but there was a completely different team. The team that was typically evaluating vendors that were giving them VPN access and all of that, which of course can also give you a Zero Trust solution. But then they found this interesting, that how XDR and Zero Trust can work and club together. And it makes much more sense for these two projects to, work together, right? So with this, I would just summarize by saying that XDR as a solution, of course, it reduces alert fatigue. How it does that? We said that we saw that XDR platform basically cross correlates across multiple points. It gives you high fidelity, actionable alert and incident, rather than multiple logs that are going into your SIEM solution. So you can really, really cut down the noise that goes into your SIEM solution. It also helps you in the skill set, because there are a lot of correlations that is already being done. And what gets presented is a very like I said, is something that is actionable. So you can cut down on a lot of L1 step, right? So that whatever is made available to you, I think L2 or an L3 can straight away start working on it and can start to get more context. So that it of course helps you to preserve time, automation and workflow. Certain repetitive tasks can be taken care of by the playbooks that are getting created. The integration with SOAR platform greatly helps. So that's where the time factor is getting taken care of. And of course, this basically helps you to respond faster. Once you have all of these things, you can really, really, in today's era where, I think the mean time to detection and response, if I recollect, it's quite high. We definitely cannot afford to, live by those standards. So a solution like XDR essentially helps us to, fill that gap. So to summarize, yeah, when you're talking about detection response, talk about and think about enterprise wide. Of course, EDR becomes a good starting point, but think about the future expansion also. So choose the type of XDR that is best fit in your ecosystem. I would not say native is best or hybrid is best. It depends on whatever investments you have done in the past or whatever your future roadmaps are. Depending on that, choose the type that fits the best. It helps definitely in accelerating detection response and reducing the MTDD and MTTR and getting the better time to value. Yeah, so with that, I would want to conclude my presentation. I'm not sure how much time I took, but I think we are well within the time, and I'm happy to take any questions, or if there is any feedback, most happy to answer those.
Yes, yes. Harsh, you are on mute.
Yes, yes. I think very, very interesting insights, Sharda, and definitely I think a couple of, I was getting one-to-one pop-ups of couple of queries. So I think great session, but let's now first also take up queries, from others. I also have few queries, but let us first ask the audience to come up with theirs.
The participants, you can write it on chat box. Okay, and someone, if they have a specific question, can raise their hand also. No questions so far.
Both options available. You can use the chat box to give your questions, or you can, we have got a raised hand.
Okay.
Yeah, Divyang, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, team. I
Hi,
hope I am
Divyang.
audible.
Yes, you're audible. Please.
Okay. So my first question to Sada is that if she can highlight one or two use cases which are only available with the XDR, not the SIEM or not the SOA.
Shada, you're on mute.
Sorry, good question, Divyang. So one of the key things which an XDR helps you do, which an SIEM solution does not do, one is it ingests telemetry. Unlike SIEM, which does not have a capability of ingesting telemetry, SIEM only ingests logs, okay? Which means to say that whatever is already prevented for which the log has been generated, that gets fed into an SIEM, and basis that SIEM has certain correlation models, and it kind of tells you that this is how the attack could have happened. XDR, works a little before that, okay? Which is to say, while there are logs that get into an XDR platform also, it ingests the telemetry. Now, telemetry, Divyang, may not necessarily be bad, okay? Like I said, if there is a credential dumping happening or there is PSXX being used in your environment, it is a genuine Windows process. It is benign if it does not do anything bad. But then that info that in my if you see this info that in 500 machines, for example, credential dumping is happening, and then there is also an access that is being made to an unknown URL, right? If this behavior, or if this is getting caught in the telemetry, then this indicates an attack. Now, SIEM will not be able to catch it because no one has prevented it till now. This is gotten into the picture only because XDR could pick it up. So the major differentiation, Divyang, between SIEM and XDR is the ingestion of the information. SIEM mainly ingests log, XDR ingests telemetry, and SIEM does a lot more that XDR does not do. I mean, SIEM helps you, it has a lot of compliance templates, and I'd be sorry to say that, more often than not, SIEM becomes a compliance tool. After a few years of deployment, initially everyone is enthusiastic, but then it becomes more of a compliance tool, and then, you get compliance reports and all of that. But yeah, the basic difference is that SIEM works on what is already prevented, and then trying to see how attack would have unfolded. But XDR basically helps you understand that this is something that's happening, and say it can help you prevent an attack. So that's the basic difference.
Okay. My second question is, you mentioned that the XDR can integrate itself with the zero trust environment as well.
Yes.
So do the trend do the trend integrate with any of the zero trust solutions, or do trend provides a zero trust solution?
Good question again, Divyang. First of all, I would say that zero trust is not a solution. It is essentially a framework, and I don't blame you for saying a solution because that is what industry tends to do to frameworks. Yeah, but so talking about Trend Micro, since you have asked about this, yes, we do have a zero trust solution. Do we integrate with third party? The answer is yes. Do we have our native solution which helps you achieve zero trust? The answer is yes. But I would really want to say, instead of saying a blind yes, I would say different organizations have different use cases of the zero trust. What is your organization's use case? So when you want to deploy, say, a zero trust network access, ZTNA, what are the use cases that you want to do? That can be a good starting point. Say, hey, I want to block my SaaS users, or I want to check the user who accesses my SaaS app-based application. I should be in a position to have to authenticate that multiple times and just not give a blanket access. So likewise, there can be multiple use cases for an organization when they are looking at deploying a zero trust solution. So while I say that Trend Micro has definitely a solution, a lot of use cases are getting satisfied, but I would still say that we would really want to understand what are your use cases or your organization's use cases, and how we can then figure out how best we can help, or how best we can help by Trend Micro can help by integrating with third party.
So mainly when we say talk about the ZTNA, it more relying on the users are connecting back using the VPN. And one point you have correctly highlighted is how my SaaS applications are being utilized.
Correct.
So those will be the main use cases for the ZTNA.
Yeah, those use cases are perfectly something that we can that Trend Micro can satisfy.
Perfect. Divyang, in fact, Divyang and his team has always been part of major sessions. I think very interesting questions, Divyang, related to the, in integration with ZTA as a framework as well as versus SIM. If you have more questions, we'll just come up in 2 minutes. We also have some more, raising of hands. Just let me come back to you in 5 minutes. Rohit, you can take up next. You have also raised your hand, and then we can go to Mukund and then Pavan.
Sure, thanks. Hi, Sharda, Rohit here.
Hello.
Sharda, we have seen use cases for XDR in a non-OT environment, if I may say so. Any insights, any information you want to share for application of XDR in OT environment as well?
So that's a good question. In fact, when we talk about OT environment itself, I think the security controls and how do we deploy security in the OT environment itself is a big question. So my answer would be this. See, XDR is nothing but, I don't want to simplify XDR, or I don't want to kind of prove that XDR is nothing, but it is essentially a data lake where the telemetry is getting ingested, and you have telemetry from multiple endpoints, and then there are correlation engines and rules that basically help you, give that insights or generate those alerts. Now, when we talk about OT environment, the first and foremost thing, before that, I will say that XDR does depend on it does need a sensor to ingest a telemetry into its data lake. Now, talking about OT environment, can XDR be deployed in OT environment? I would say logically, yes, but practically, is it possible? That is something that we will have to, check. So, for example, if you have a OT environment where you definitely have a firewall at your, at your floor or factory level, if that firewall is at a moment, or is allowed to integrate or send telemetry to a third-party data lake, then yes, why not? We can have XDR cover the OT environments also. But the modalities of OT environment are different. I mean, that it's a contained environment. It is mostly the connection to outside world is very, very bleak. Some of them are air gapped environment. So given all of these, we really need to, and when we talk about XDR, I think as an industry, we are struggling to deploy the basic security on OT environments itself, the firewall and the IPSs and all of that. So I think the XDR would be the second step, but can it be deployed? The answer is yes. There are already some discussions going on in with certain vendors in terms of how XDR can be extended to an OT environment. But I haven't seen any vendor coming up with the XDR on OT environments yet. And that's because they would want to first, not experiment, they would want to first make it a success in an IT landscape, which is just getting adopted, and certainly then look into getting into the OT space.
Great.
Fair. Thanks, Sharda.
Thank you, Rohit. In fact, Rohit has been our esteemed speaker in the last session of cyber immunity. Very interesting on the coverage of applications and OT. We can take up Mukund's question, and since every time we keep it till 5:15, so we can have another 10 minutes and get 2-3 more questions at least. So Mukund, you can take up the next. Thank you, Sharda. Interesting answers.
Hi,
Yes.
hello everyone. Hi Shraddha. Actually, my question was around integration of technology. It's a CASB solution. So how the HDR can be integration with the CASB with another vendor technologies of CASB related?
Yeah, so good question, Mukund. So CASB solution essentially, again, it will in fact, XDR and CASB together again can make a very good value proposition, very similar to Zero Trust and XDR. Now, if in your CASB solution, you are acting as a broker, wherein you would want to control the access of the cloud app. Now, can the parameters that help you define the access to a particular cloud app, can those parameters, can risk-based parameters be one of those? What I mean to say is that if you would want to say that, hey, I would want certain cloud-based applications, only certain users where the risk is below 10, assuming that the higher the number, the higher the risk is. So any user which has a risk score more than 10 should not get access to my cloud apps. Okay. Now, so who will determine that risk? While of course I know that CASB solutions have their own controls of determining, but integration with XDR will enrich that decision-making process. So if that decision-making currently is only determined by say 4 to 5 factors, that factors can increase. The checklist can be broadened because XDR can give you insight into a lot of other parameters, which maybe a current CASB solution may not be able to give, just because XDR becomes a one-stop point wherein you can do a lot of things. I would essentially want to also take this opportunity to say that one of the various, there, certain matured SOCs, what do they tell me? They said, hey, Shraddha, you talked about this. We don't want your correlation rules. The whole XDR telemetry. Can I get access to this telemetry? This is like my holy grail. If I have access to this telemetry, and of course, if I can access or get, if I can fetch this telemetry over some common protocols, I'm done. Then I can do whatever I want to do with this data. So imagine a SOC analyst or a threat hunter getting one pot where he just has to pick and choose, right? So he has an indication saying that, hey, there is something that's happening. He goes into this XDR data lakes, and then he gets everything. What was happening at the endpoint, what was happening at the network level, what all connections were made. Similarly, so these could be the various factors. So similarly, I think the integration with the CASB solution can be an interesting one, wherein the decision-making parameters for whether the access should be given or maybe it should be withheld, or their further authentication should be needed, can be that decision-making point parameters can be widened, and it can be much more granular.
Great question, Mukund. Integration with CASB, and I think Sharda quite comprehensive answer that way. Pawan, I think you also had a question. You can take up that now. And We do not have any other hands raised or chat or questions. If we have, please raise your hand or put it in the chat box. Pawan, you can take up this one now.
Hi, Sharda. Hello, everyone.
Hey, hi, Pawan.
Thank you, Sharda, for the wonderful session. So my question was, there are so many OEMs who are available in market and they provide XDR solution. So all of them provide hybrid solution or they are native solution only?
Well, I would really point you to the Forrester report, but not all of them provide hybrid. Like like if I talk about Trend Micro is a native XDR solution. There are other vendors, who like CrowdStrike. It falls under hybrid XDR solution. See, it depends. For example, if I talk about vendor, again, I can just talk about Trend Micro, not because from a vendor standpoint, if there is a vendor who already has presence at endpoint, at web, at email, at network, then it becomes natural for them to go towards the native way, right? Because if I have my own sensors, why should I rely on the third party, right? And similar, or on the other hand, if there is a vendor so the new age EDR vendors that came up, that are upcoming, but they really want to also to give XDR solution because the platform is already available. For them, the easiest and the quickest way is to integrate, right? Because they don't have to worry about developing the product and setting up the teams. Hey, now I have to cover cloud, so should I develop a cloud-based solution? I have to now cover email, so should I have an email security solution in place? It becomes easy for them to integrate. That's where if you will see the hybrid XDR largely depends a lot on integration, and that's where they can be quite broad. Native XDR, of course, while native XDR solutions also can integrate, but largely their integration capabilities are quite deep because they have their own sensors. So to answer your question is, Pawan, that both the vendor, both the form factor, both the types of XDR solution are available in the market. And like I said before, also it depends on customers' current investments, their future plans, and everything. So there are a lot of permutation and combination that can help you determine whether you should go by the native way or you should go by the hybrid way.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sharda.
Thank you, Pawan.
Sharda, you actually answered one of the most burning questions which anyone is thinking when they're talking about XDR over here. And thank you, Pawan. Pawan has also attended a couple of sessions with us. So thank you, Pawan. A very important question to be asked. Do we have any other questions? We can take up one question before mine. So if there is any, we can.
Sure, question.
Sorry. Yeah, please.
So you can go ahead.
Okay, sure. So, Sharda, I actually wanted to understand that, of course, we have understood quite a bit in terms of integrations. Also, we have understood how it is different from EDR, how is it different from SIM. But, most of the organizations today have already made a couple of investments in EDR, in SIM. And like you mentioned, in between, there are some gray areas, there are some overlapping, there is a transition. So at this point, if there is a CIO or an InfoSec professional, how do we exactly create this business case for XDR at this point? When we have to go, what are those maybe some common burning areas which can be immediately addressed? One, this is there. And second, how can we make it a step-by-step journey? Do we have to replace XDR altogether, or is it that even if it is EDR, I'm so sorry, EDR completely, or maybe if there is one vendor EDR, the other, maybe you can take it up Trend Microwave, that's not an issue, but you can complement it with integration. How do we do that as step by step and as a business case?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and the answer lies in the question itself. So if an organization has made an investment in EDR, okay, they will start seeing that they need XDR, okay, because EDR will give them clear visibility at the endpoints. They will see, oh my God, this is amazing. And then their SOC analyst will start working on a lot of telemetry that EDR is throwing at them, and a lot of it, they will love it. But beyond a certain point, they said, hey, but if I would have the similar insight at the network level also, that would make my job easy. And then they will say, but I have cloud instances also. And in cloud, I have a Kubernetes cluster. I have containers that are deployed, and can I get a similar visibility across containers also? So a business case, I would say, gets created the moment the EDR solution gets deployed. And the way we like, what I see is that in Trend Micro, we have been selling EDR for a very long time. Once EDR solution gets deployed, of course, there are a lot of, at least in Trend Micro, we do a lot of product effectiveness reports, discussion to the customer. So the moment you do such a discussion with the customer loves it, right? But they say, hey, this is good, but I would want it to go beyond endpoint. So, and then, we see sometimes something that is not a very healthy way. If there is a, God forbid, a ransomware attack that happens, of course, while EDR shows a lot of things that, hey, this is how, if in case it's not prevented, this is how the attack literally moved, etc., etc., etc. But then, customer would really want to itch for an RCA. But how did it arrive into my network, right? If they want answer to such questions so that I can prevent it further, so XDR has to be there, right? So that is the answer to your first question, is that their XDR customers have to deploy. I think there is no looking back from there. To answer to your second question is, if customer is already invested in an EDR, do they need to replace their endpoint to deploy an exit? The answer is no. Okay, so there are XDR solutions available that can work with other endpoint security solutions also. So again, coming back to the native and hybrid thing. So if customer has deployed an EDR solution already, and they don't want to deploy an XDR solution by the same vendor, there is a hybrid XDR vendors available that can ingest data and integrate with these endpoints. And so there is definitely no replacement required. Again, I would say XDR again can be a journey. So if you see, XDR is a platform that is made available. You can put endpoint on it. So today you put endpoint on it, tomorrow you put server on it, you put network, and maybe if we get IoTs and you get that integration. So the framework or the platform is made available. So it can be a journey, because at any given point of time, all of these points are blind spot in the network. So the investment doesn't need to be upfront, right? So even if an EDR did invest in EDR today, great. And then if they want to expand EDR and then have network also as part of it, it's the same platform can be extended to give the network detection and response also. So, but yeah, more the merrier for sure. I mean, the more points, more coverage, more rich telemetry, and better is the detection capabilities.
Perfect. I think that is very, very helpful. We'll just take 1 minute. Pawan has raised his hand. One more question. Yeah, quickly, Pawan. We just take a minute here.
Yeah, hi. My question is that, is Trend Micro coming up, or do they already have any solution related to micro segmentation? Sharda?
Good question, Pawan. Again, like Zero Trust, micro segmentation also has its own definition. But I know there are dedicated vendors who do micro segmentation. Trend Micro does not have a dedicated solution for micro segmentation, but then in our existing solutions, there are ways and means to achieve it. I mean, we can discuss it, whatever the use case may be, if that can be achieved through a existing solution.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. I think very interesting questions, and Sharda, you took up, gave a very comprehensive, detailed, much needed answers that we all were looking for. An amazing, insightful session, I must say. I'll just take a minute also to share, whatever we had the insights today, just made some notes here. So of course, XDR is a solution to the struggle of 3S: siloed visibility, sophisticated threats, and skill shortage, as Sharda mentioned. It's of course a journey to next level. We did go through the endpoint protection to EDR. I really love the example of CCTV camera also over there, to an XDR story, because that's the part of the story which is missing, where we need to go beyond the endpoint to the network, cloud, applications, IoT, etc. And I think in the end also we'll end up quite a bit with ZTE and SASE framework I do remember the risk-based insight, the risk-based behavioral analytics, which is also one of the foundation of ZTA. That is what inputs XDR can give in. So that was really important. We also then went into this prevent, detect, response kind of approach of the relation between SIM, SOAR, XDR, the transition phase and the lapping capabilities. Had some good question and answer session also around it. Could get actually some visibility into this native XDR, hybrid XDR, and also the XDR that the security analytic platforms are providing today. We could actually have a little, go through in the data, how data getting processed from the logs to the events, alerts, and the incidents. So I think that was quite helpful. And of course, we always say that any tool needs to have simplification, automation, integration. And we did have quite a bit of discussion here also. Integration, of course, today there are API infra wherever you talk, because siloed is not sustainable now. So we did have some discussion around the identity access, threat intel, SIM, SOAR, and network security here. We also got one very good example and a couple of others also later of how in the threat intel through the integration with XDR, we can be flagged for the IOC or indicators of compromise. And there's some good playbook examples also around threat intel over here, quite a bit of a, roadmap or a kind of a thing which we saw. And I think we had also some very good questions from Divyang around, SIM versus XDR and how it integrates with ZTA. Rohit also helped us covered applications and OT as a coverage, and Mukund helped us to understand integration with CASB. Pavan helped us understand, suitability of native versus hybrid actually when we're adopting. And we also got a little gist of how we can actually create that business case with the existing investments. So Sharda, trust me, this was an amazing session. Perfect everything. I think we really got quite a bit of takeaways, thought-provoking, ideas here as well. But yeah, of course, everything could not be discussed, but still quite a bit. Thank you so much, Sharda.
Absolutely.
Great
Absolutely.
session.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Sarda. I guess with this we are in this session. Have a happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharda.
Thank you, Harsh. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for
Sharda.
genuinely a privilege you could come. Thank you so much, Sharda. Thank you everyone for joining us. Great session.